What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be working on the Chevy Cruze, my 2013, the 1.8 liter non-turbo. It's a beater car that I picked up a few months ago to go to and from work to save me some money. If you know me, you know I love driving the Ram, but it just wasn't feasible. So I picked up this. I did a lot of the maintenance on it, you know, oil changes, coolant flush, made sure that everything was perfect. The only thing I didn't touch was the spark plugs. So today we're gonna tackle that. We got it's got a rough idle, and we plugged in our scanner today and found out that it's got the fuel trim level is too high. So considering the fact it's already at 52,000 miles, let's tackle the spark plugs. And I'm going to show you how I do it. Let's get started. Alright, so jumping right in, here are a few things that you're going to need. So obviously if you have a code, you're going to want to use your scanner. It doesn't have to be Snap-on, it could be your Harbor Freight, your AutoZone, whatever you got, but you got to know what you're dealing with first. I fortunately know that we're going to be doing the spark plugs with this. Same code it always gets once it hits around the mileage, and it hasn't been done yet. So another few of the tools we're going to need is a torque wrench. Again, doesn't have to be Snap-on, it could be whatever you have. But when the time comes, we're going to torque our spark plugs. You need a Phillips, a flathead, a 3/8 ratchet. Doesn't have to be this big, I just prefer this. Preferably a 6-inch extension, whether you believe it or not. This is 6 inches, guys. A 5/8 spark plug socket, so has to be a spark plug socket, makes your life 10 times easier. And a T40 Torx, and I'm going to show you why next. So let's get started, right? So first thing we want to do is we want to pry up on our case for our Ecotech. Take that off. Probably didn't need a flathead, but we use it anyway. Then coming down here, we're going to have two T40 Torx, and get those next. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the big 3/8. Doesn't mean you have to have it, but this is what I got. What's nice is having a magnetic holder to hold your bolts. Makes life 10 times easier. So, put that in there. What's good about this too is your torques are going to be the same size, so you won't have to worry about, you know, getting them confused. But in the off chance, if you're ever working on anything else and they're all different sizes, place them in the right order that they came in. Okay. And over to the side. Next, we're going to have a little plug here. You have a little orange clip that's got to go over to the right. Once you put that over to the right, you can push down, pull up. That's going to go to the right. Push down. Should unplug. Alright, so let's just speed this up. Not a big deal. I ended up breaking the pivot point on our connector, so I had to move the harness over and just try to like wiggle it out. I'll show you at the end of the video, you know, what I had to do to place it back, you know, so we could still use it and it's usable. But we got everything off. We noticed that the coil pack was in really good shape, but you know, since parts are cheap and it didn't take much to get it out, you know, everything's right there. We're just gonna replace it. I guess there was a little bug that was just chilling there, so, but not a big deal. So now jumping into our spark plugs, you know, taking these out. If you look up the owner's manual and everything, you could actually find out that through the factory they ended up using AC Delco plugs for these 1.4 and the 1.8 liter. So considering the fact that all those came out with only 50-some thousand miles on the vehicle, we know that they are original, and they came out pretty easily, so you know that they weren't over torqued from someone else trying to install them. Alright, so real fast before I forget, these are what our old spark plugs look like. See how they got all that carbon built up? They look like shit. They definitely have seen better days. I'm going to show you the difference between what a new spark plug and a crappy old spark plug looks like. So like I mentioned, we did get NGKs and a new coil pack. The reason why I went with NGKs is NGKs come pre-gapped. A lot of spark plugs do come pre-gapped, but I've never had a problem with NGKs ever. You always can't go wrong with getting what the manufacturer said or you used to use. Like in this case, if I went with a brand new set of AC Delcos, we would have been completely fine. But there's a reason why NGK is NGK. They always got the right spark plug gap, and every competitor is trying to beat them. I ran into problems where I bought online counterfeit spark plugs. Maybe you knew that, maybe you didn't. It's pretty crazy how you could see the difference between the two. But NGK is here for a reason. So the gaps are already pre-gapped the same, which is wonderful. You can see all that carbon built up on that tip. So you see how thin my tip is on the left, and well, technically how thick versus how thin it is on the other side. That's just from it just sparking and just wearing down. You can see how thin it got. So in some of these spark plugs, they may be thinner than others, will result into inconsistency and will fire a little bit different. Plus also the buildup doesn't help. So now that we got new spark plugs and a new coil pack, let's start getting these installed. Okay, so now it's time to install our spark plugs. I'm going to be using a torque wrench, anti-seize, and our 5/8 socket with an extension. We're going to end up putting these in hand tight, and we're going to put a dab of anti-seize on each one of our spark plugs. Putting these in hand tight is going to prevent you from trying to ruin the threads on either the spark plug or the cylinder walls. So that's always a good practice. But then you'll see me come back around after I got them all hand tight. I'm going to use my torque wrench and torque each one of our spark plugs down to 18 foot-pounds because that's what the manufacturer calls for. And then soon after that, we'll press down our coil pack, and you'll see me start to mess with our connector that I ended up breaking. Right in there where it's supposed to be. And when you go to connect that right back in, you should be able to just snap it right back in. Just like that. Now that connector's not coming off. No way. So even though we did break the little pivot point there, it's still completely functional, ain't gonna go nowhere, ain't gonna come undone unless you pull out that clip like you're supposed to anyway. Alright, now all that's left to do, obviously, is start the car, but these get hooked right back onto where they were. Just get snapped into place. Alright guys, so hope you liked the video. That's a condensed version on how to do spark plugs in your own vehicle. Particularly this was on my Chevy Cruze. In the channel we're going to start messing with the quad and the bikes and the truck and everything. So hopefully you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.